All right, welcome to In Person with Percy. Today, our special guest is Alexis Caples.
Woo!
Anyway, how are you doing today, Alexis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just to introduce myself, I'm Percy Gordon. I'm a junior at Loring Oaks High School. Um, and I really think we do have mental a lot of issues in Kalamazoo, here in Kalamazoo, how Kalamazoo is becoming how Kalamazoo can become great, and we need to become as one. I know Alexis has went to Norks, and she's also a knight. Whoop whoop. My first question is how did you hear about this podcast, or you work with me? How did you feel about the podcast?
I thought the podcast was a great idea to implement more youth voice for this to be for youth by youth. So to take that step and move forward with this was great. So I definitely applaud you for that.
Thank you. What is your role at KidNet or in KCYC? What do you do for Kid Network?
So at Kid Network, which is Kalamazoo Youth Development Network, I am the assistant youth development coach as well as a youth mobility mentor, as well as the advisor for our Youth Advisory Council, KCYC, or Kalamazoo County Youth Cabinet.
Woo, that was a lot, wasn't it?
Woo!
Yeah. So, just to get started, um, you were a formal KCYC member. Could
Yes.
you do a little bit of explaining what KCYC is and why we do KCYC?
So originally, when KCYC first started, I was a member on there. When we first started, it was the first time I had a platform where I could express myself freely, and it was solely based on my voice. If we did work or move forward, it was put on me. It didn't have, any adults coming in and saying, hey, well, I think you should do this, or
Mm-hmm.
this would be better, or, adults can come in and try to figure out how they can redo something that they would have done in the past through youth voice. But this time around, it was not like that at all. It was a breath of fresh air, connecting with other people, not necessarily in my friend group or people I would usually go out and talk
Right,
to.
right, right.
Just getting different connections of background. We were very diverse the first time around, and I think we continued that down the line as the cabinet grew. But just having that platform of I can speak, I can make a difference, I can go into the community and say, hey, this is what I'm a part of, this is what I'm doing, this is what I care about. And for me to put it together was kind of crazy and mind blowing. It was like I got a newfound of power with having that much
Mm-hmm.
freedom of expression, and I feel like that is another thing that carried out through as the cabinet continued to grow.
Yes. One thing Kid Network is big on is youth voice and how youth opinions matter, because we matter. We have to go through this. We have to
Hmm.
talk about we need we need our voices to be heard for not only the schools but the community to be great. Like, we need our voice to have what we want so we can actually participate. And without our voice, it just be one big like we don't want to do this, and we want to have. Um, how do you feel like KCYC has impacted Kalamazoo? Um, how do you feel about that?
Um, I feel like just connecting and being showing up as our authentic selves and connecting through conversation really built community amongst other youth. Um, still bridging, a work in progress, that gap between adults and youth, but just connecting with other youth, whether they do join the cabinet or not, or, they participate in other organizations or after school activities. We still made the connection of I can be that person or that resource. Maybe you need to vent. Maybe you just want to talk. Maybe you just want somebody to be there, somebody who knows what you're going through, but you don't necessarily, want to join the cabinet or walk that journey with me. Then we've created that bond or that space in order for you to feel like you can come to me, trust me with this, and know that this is a safe space, it's non-judgmental, and I'm still here to support you in whatever that you do. I feel like KCYC from the beginning to now and, future will always have that genuine, authentic, I can be a resource to you as well as being a resource to other people to build that youth voice and community.
Yep. So to get off not to push KCYT to the side, just to move to your other parts in the Kid Network. What is from me, I know what youth mobility is, just so where our community members can know what is youth mobility and how is youth mobility impacting or contributing to Kalamazoo.
So the Youth Mobility Fund is a partnership between Kid Network, Kalamazoo, the Metro, and KPS. This time around, they brought Kid Network in to be at the bus stops. We have mentors, the volunteers, and as well as the ambassadors. This time around, it was intentionally to build community and take off some of the excess of tension that may have rose as we're coming back off of the pandemic and trying to find our own norm. We thought, we could come in, we got this training, we know how to work with the youth, we know their language, we know how to, refrain conflict to kind of keep down, any chaos that may arise, as, again, we still are finding out our norms and how to navigate through life, everyday life in orgs and communities and school as we come off of a lockdown and still try to find out what we can do in person and figure out emotions, mentally, physically, those kind of things. I feel like that's really contributing to the community because the youth have that pass where they can use that 7 days a week. They can say, hey, if I need to go here, I know how to get here, and I'm not necessarily a hassle, but I don't have to rely on anyone else, which is the goal to get kids in Kalamazoo where they need to go so they can get where they need to go in life.
That's our main goal. Is when I heard of youth mobility is when I was at Paramount. I went to Paramount for 8th grade, and I was worried. I'm like, how will I get around in Kalamazoo? Like, what is going on? And when I heard that we get a free bus pass, I thought that we could just show them a picture of us and say we're in high school and get on the bus. That's what I did when I first saw that. I've literally grabbed a lanyard and a picture of me from Picture Day, and I went on the East Main bus. I remember that day, it was a Saturday, and I said, oh, I get a free bus pass because I'm in high school now. It was the summer of 8th grade. So I was just really excited to finally see how that was going to work. And I was like, of course there's going to be fights. Of course there's going to be that. But this is not negative. This is, we're all about change, but we have a special guest coming into our life. So please give your attention to our special guest.
Wrong button again.
Wrong button. Sorry, guys. Okay, we have a caller. Caller, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey,
We can hear you.
how you doing?
On the radio?
Hey, yeah, you on the radio, yeah.
Oh, hey,
Another
hey, in person. Percy.
Hey,
What's
you
going on?
already know what's going on. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
That's good. Can we just have your position at KidNet and what you do at Kid Network?
Oh yeah. My name is Justin Brownlee. I'm an out of school time coach at Kid Network. My pronouns are him and he. Do you need a little bit
Woo.
more?
Yeah, what you do at Kid Network?
Oh well, at Kid Network, I assess the quality of youth programs across Kalamazoo and now Calhoun County.
Woo
I
woo
know.
woo.
Hey! You
Hey,
doing good work over there at Kid Network.
so you came in at the right time. We were just getting to talk about getting into youth mobility. And you came in
Ooh,
at the right time. Me and
there we
Justin
go.
had a wonderful time in the summer recruiting.
hmm
Um, we had a wonderful time with Meg saying we got to do this, get this done. But we
Yes,
had
yes,
a
yes.
wonderful time. We loved it.
Yes,
We love
yes, that was
Meg.
exciting. Getting
We
into the
love her. We
community,
love
yeah,
her.
and recruiting
And we
youth.
know. How did you feel about youth mobility and when youth mobility got started?
Oh well, the reason that it got started, I feel like it's needed in the community. I know a lot of young people need to get to places after school, and just in any way that Kid Network and I can support youth get to places that they need to be. Either I said school, but after school programming is what I meant. But yes, to support youth getting an after school program, babysitting, a job, or sports practice. I'm all for it. So, yeah, youth mobility is a strong topic. I might have got off topic, so ask me another question.
No, you're fine.
All
Um,
right.
I'm super excited that you called in. You're our first call in or
Oh,
in person. So you should be happy because you're
yeah, yeah,
lucky.
yeah.
So
Man, I just want to say, can I say on the air, man, how proud I am of Percy, man, over here doing his thing, trying to
like
help
man said,
young folks in Kalamazoo.
Percy man. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. Keep
just
doing it.
it's exciting to hear your voice again.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
just I'm glad we got this done. How did
Okay.
you feel when you heard Percy's doing a podcast? How did you feel? Alexis already gave her little spiel on how proud of her she was of
Mhm.
me. How did you feel?
Man, when the opportunity presented itself to get Percy behind the microphone on the podcast, behind the camera, I got really excited just because I know Percy is a young man that has a lot of passion, has a lot of drive, and is just the right person for the job. He does a lot of youth advocacy, and I'm saying he, like, I'm not talking to you, but you do a lot of youth advocacy in Kalamazoo County, and you the voice of the youth, and I'm just all behind and live in person from Percy. I can't wait till we get syndicated, ABC, NBC, BET. I can't wait till they pick up your show, and I can talk to you about, like, you remember your first show that you I had called in, and
The
yeah,
first
I'm just
one
looking
though, the
forward to
first one.
seeing where this goes.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, just um, just hearing your voice again, bro, was like really passionate.
Yes,
Really
seriously.
gave me some motivation to keep on trying. Um,
Oh yeah.
if you don't mind, would you stay on? I kinda want to shift over a little bit into a
Okay.
topic that literally just happened into my life, and I'm sorry, guest, if this gets a little emotional or whatever, but this is an emotional topic, and I refuse to let this happen. Every time, I just I think it's important that we need to know. So anyway, before in person with Percy, our first one, here we are though. Um, before that, there was a altercation downtown, but don't worry, guys, I had nothing to do with it. There was a fight downtown with a bunch of youth, and of course, I'm walking just about my luck. I'm walking away from KTC, and my best friend Mariah, she got on the Westnedge bus and she saw me talking to a police, so she's calling me. I'm like, I'm okay. So the police stopped me, racially profiled me, saying I was in a fight, I was doing this, I was doing that, I'm failure to comply with an officer, all this, that, and the third, and got me worked up, and I had to do all this different stuff. So I just don't. How, and Alexis, you can chime in. How do you think policing policing right now, you or Justin can chime in. Policing right now is not the greatest, is not the best. Um, the way the way the policing is, I didn't have a problem with him stopping me. It was his approach. It was his tone of voice. It was how he became aggressive, you know. And I'm an African American male that's not perfect, that has been a little in trouble, but I got tensed up. How do you guys feel about hearing this story, or how do you think it could have been different, and how could you think it could have been different? How could you think the situation that just happened could have been better?
You gonna take this one, Alex?
Yeah, I'm processing it.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I even start on this? Because this is a huge um domain that you just can never put into words. I think that plays into mental health, just because that approach could have did something different to me. And with Percy, being a black male, he is tall, he's not a skinny, like, if you didn't know Percy, you would think he's intimidating until you get to know him. Then it's like, oh, okay, it's Percy. But just off the strength of the way society is playing the cops against blacks and always killing the black male, like, it plays on your mental. And after a while, you begin to fall into the stigma of they're all the same. It could have went definitely different, and I think the first step that need to happen with policing and the community is for them to gain the trust of the community. I don't think this is the way to do it. I think language and maybe implementing some trainings down the line, because people are in these positions and in these uniforms for over 20, 30 years, and they don't adapt, or they're stuck on the when I don't want to come at nobody, but back in 1965, this is the training I got. I'm sticking to it. I'm not changing. Well, the world has changed. Things are conforming. Now, we have to accommodate. And I think a lot of people are stuck into that first mindset of, this is what I did to get in here. I'm following the book, and this is, how it's going to go, when you have to have the support of the community behind you.
Right.
Because that's what's going to keep that I'm safe, or I feel safe enough to call you. I just watched something the other day, and they were saying, if someone kills your mom, or something happens, or you're killed, or whatever the case is, they're like, I wouldn't call the police. What would they do for me? How would they help me as a black man, as a providing for my family, whatever the case is? Even me yelling out, my hands are up. What would they do for me?
Yes.
And to have that mindset is like crazy.
It's always, well, what did he do? Did he do something? Did he start it? Why did he get shot? It's never, well, what can I do for this family? And that's where the irritation comes in, because I'm walking to do a podcast. Like, I'm literally like trying to go do something positive to get this, what literally just happened, out of Kalamazoo and out of the world, out of society. I want it gone. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yes. And then just to piggyback off of what Alexis saying, like, being like a 30-year-old black male, hearing what Percy went through, it breaks my heart, because when I was around his age, I was going through the same thing. So like, something has to change. Like, we coming up in two different generations, and the same thing is still occurring with the police. So that's why I agree with that statement of like I used to be on the side of yeah, like I wouldn't call the police if I was in danger or in trouble, but like now as I mature and I get older, I recognize that like the police does have a position in the community that's like undeniable. They do keep people safe. So we can't go NWA and say F the police completely, but I do the way that the police is structured and how rooted in tradition the police are can be changed. Just to piggyback off what
Absolutely.
Alexis said. So yeah, I
Absolutely,
agree.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And it breaks my heart because it's not like Justice said, it can't be always F the police or whatever
Mhm.
the case may be, because we do need the police. Like, we do need the police. But it's just the way, like, I believe that the police should have better training on how to
Mhm.
approach a kid. I believe they should have to
Mhm.
go through training that a school teacher goes through, um, on how to approach a kid, how to deal with a kid, because the police just gets a kid and deal with them like a dog, and that's not how you're gonna see change, right?
Hmm.
We're all
Mhm.
about change, and we need
Mhm.
change. We have to approach youth with how they how if they're in trouble, they're already ventilating or worked up. They need, okay, what can we do to get this? What can we do to get this in order? And I remember 4 questions that the Boys and Girls Club always used to ask us, and I want you guys to hear me as I'm saying these questions. What were you doing? Why were you doing it? And what were you feeling when you were doing it? I want
Mhm.
you to realize those questions. What were you doing? What were you doing? Why were you doing it? And what were you feeling while you were doing it? Woo!
Preach, preacher, preach, preacher.
Those 3 questions always got me to take. If I was at a 10, I would go down to an 8.
Okay.
I will go down to an 8. And I remember those questions because one of our own board members at Kid Network used to ask us that.
Hmm.
One of our own board members at Kid Network used to ask us that. And um, I just believe that those questions should be those. Now, if you're doing something off the wall, then yeah, there's a different approach. But just me walking down the street, what, like, I wasn't even involved, so those questions wouldn't be um applied to me. But I'm just trying to think, like, if I was, why would that be your approach, right?
Yeah.
Why would
Mhm.
that
Hmm.
Mhm.
be, oh, you were in a fight, you need to come here? Like, your authority, I have to listen. But I also have a say in this too.
Mhm.
I also have a say in this too. I have a voice, and I'm going to use it. If you don't know me,
Ooh.
I will use it.
That's a good one.
I have a voice to use, so I'm going to use it.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, just rewinding all the way back, just thinking about when I was at KTC ninth grade year, seeing all those fights, me myself getting put in handcuffs for a lot of stuff, because this is not the first time it has happened, and I just want it to be known that mental health in the past 2 years has declined in a lot of youth, and a lot of
Mhm.
youth are scared to go up to somebody, an adult, to say, I need help, because it's always, well, why? It's always, well, you're crazy. It's always, well, um were you doing that? It's never, what can we do to help? And that's where the irritation comes in from. If you have authority, you should understand that you need to be able to be like, okay, what were you doing? Why were you doing it? And how can I help?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you? You know?
Yeah.
It's never that. It's, well, you need to do this, this, and that for me to help you. It's
Yeah.
always that. And it's really not fair. It's really getting to be unfair to us youth.
And that's that gap that you gotta, come in and bridge, because you gotta let youth, no
Right.
matter the age, even adults, you gotta let them be the tellers of their own lived experiences. You can't come in and rewrite my experience for me. You can't, diagnose me because it looks like this. You can't tell me where I'm going, where I've got to go, what kind of data and what this is because I live in this neighborhood, because that's not my story. It's not even, I'm 26 and it hasn't even begun yet. I'm still doing things. I'm still creating more memories and trying new things, having a growth mindset and being open to, let me, even as I grow, I'm starting to fall into the adultism. So let me, let go and get out of the way, because I would have hated that being that age. So let me remember what I would have wanted when I was that age and implement that. And that's how I feel like I can truly operate in my work and make my connections, because I can't function like that. I can't have that. So I definitely understand, but I think that gap of let you tell your story, you do that, and you tell me what you need. I can't come to you and say, well, I want to give you this. If you need a bike and I got a bike, but you need a purple bike, I can't just give you this bike. Oh, no, I got a bike. Well, I need a purple one. It has to accommodate me. I can't just take what you want to give me. I have to come to you and say, I need this. And
Right.
that's how, we'll move forward. But
Yes,
until that starts
yes,
happening
yes.
and people, really try to bridge the gap in those uniforms, I don't think the youth will be just open to like, okay, let me just put all my trust in you. Let me just run with this. It has to happen over time. And maybe that's not in 6 months, maybe that's not in a year. But if it's a real intention of, I do want to help, I want the support of the community, I want to, you to be able to trust me to save you, then maybe we could have something. But I definitely understand, Percy. That story is very triggering. As we're coming here to talk about policing, mental health,
Right.
the whole nine,
Right.
even
Yes, yes, yes.
transportation.
Support,
So
support.
we just touched base on
It
everything.
it came. It's a coincidence because It happened at the KTC, what is a bus station. It has a lot of mental health thing, and it's policing, right? So what the police has impacted on me today is, and what I'm believing, um, just by thinking, what I'm believing is that we need change, and we knew that, and us by saying, okay, us by saying we need change is one thing, but we have to do to change. And one of the methods that I have is doing this podcast, because I want this podcast to get out of Kalamazoo, because I know in Kalamazoo, this just doesn't happen in Kalamazoo. This happens to all youth. And
Yes, yes.
every city, every state that there's a lot of population of youth, just
That's it. We gotta call ABC up and get it up out
yeah,
there.
get it up out of here,
Spread the word.
So
Yeah,
just
yes, we do.
so that's what it was today, and so I was a bit angry, and I've learned to calm down. I've learned to refocus myself, and I've learned to um because at the
Can I ask you a question, Percy?
yes sir,
All right, yeah. As a 17-year-old black man, are you scared of the police?
yes I am.
Why are you scared of the police?
Um, because I have had a lot of, especially this past quarantine, that not a lot of people know about. I've had a lot of encounters with the police. I had a lot of mental health issues this past pandemic, or this past year, I should say, because there won't be another pandemic. So,
I don't
just
know
this,
about that, but yeah, hopefully not, right?
just so the police just scare me, just
Mm-hmm,
seeing
mm-hmm.
black males being put to the ground, being
Right.
killed, being blood,
Mm-hmm,
letting them bleed out right here,
mm-hmm,
right here in Kalamazoo, even.
mm-hmm,
Just us shooting each other brings the police. If we weren't
mm-hmm.
shooting each other, we would be left alone. And that's that.
Mm-hmm.
There would be some little, okay, but we're shooting each other. We're shooting each
Mm-hmm,
other. We're shooting one another that looks like each other. We look at like each other. So we're shooting each other, making the police, okay, we have to take extra precautionary because these black people
mm-hmm.
is shooting each other. So it's kind of giving me what my mom used to tell me. Oh, you crying? I'm going to give you something to cry about. And that's what the police
That's a good point.
doing.
Mm.
You shooting each
Mm-hmm,
other, so I'm going to give you
mm-hmm,
something to shoot each other about. That's my biggest deal. That even in the schools, oh, you're fighting, so I'm gonna give you something to fight about. There may not be
mm-hmm.
shootings, but every time I see a black youth, a black adult get arrested or something, is because not because you're innocent. Now we know everybody's not innocent. We know you do something to egg that police on, and I'm not gonna give the blame all on the police. But
Okay.
it's just how they take that extra step.
Mm.
The extra step is what's is ticking me off. That's what it is.
Yes. So, what does change look like you inside of the police? So, like in your past interactions with the police, you were speaking on change a little bit earlier. What would change look like with the police? Like
Just
those things won't happen to you. You won't be afraid of the police. What would change look like?
it won't happen so much. Like it
Okay.
happens so much that teachers, parents, community leaders, everybody, it happens so much that people just say, okay, like they accept it. Like we cannot accept this. Like they just say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's over with. What's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
next?
So all those incidents won't happen like with youth if the police and the community decides to change. That's what
Yeah,
you're saying?
we need to come together as one.
Yeah, there we
We
go.
need to come together as one. We need to not all sit us down, but we need to have an understanding of each other. If we're having a bad day, leave that person alone. Leave that person alone. That's what I'm learning in my teacher's academy class. If a student is having a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
you don't go into, oh, what happened now? You don't do that. It is, you leave them alone until they're ready to talk. And all the
Mm.
time that may not be the case because they're acting up. They're doing this. They're making disruption. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn how to, and I'm not trying to tell the police how to do their job
There you
or
go.
what to do, but that just they need to come off as a better approach, not so mean. Well, why were you doing this? How were you doing this? Can you please stop doing that, or I'm gonna do this? It's the threatening that frightens us. It's the
Mm-hmm.
threatening that frightening us. Like that is scaring us,
Mhm.
and that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. That that is the biggest thing in the Kalamazoo area that I think I've talked to many youth. I've talked to many of my classmates. That's the biggest thing. And it's not even, it's becoming such a big deal that my friend is a white lady and she's scared for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our generation is trying to come together as one, but it's like we get separated and one teacher teaches one thing and one teacher teaches the next, and it's like, oh, maybe that was a way to go. Maybe we should be separated into, because I don't want to have to deal with that. You know, I don't want to be his friend because what happened if he says something that I didn't do? You know, that's the biggest thing, and and I want people to know that you don't have to be all the way there to get help. Well, to ask for help. You need, if you're not all the way there, if you need a little guidance, ask for help. Ask your mom. Ask your dad. Ask anybody for help. And you will get that help.
Yeah, you got to speak up. What a saying that I had: "Closed mouths don't get fed." I don't know if it applies like to the situation, but yeah, closed mouths don't get fed. So sometimes you do got to speak up for what you need, and then you got to advocate for behind your needs too. Because once again, if I use the example of a bike, and if I say I need a bike one time and I whisper it to you, might not take it serious. But if I ask you for a bike every day this week and I get louder each day, I'm thinking about Wednesday or Thursday. You might be like, "Hey, let's get this guy a bike." So, yeah. You got to speak up, and then you got to follow through. You got to have that advocacy piece behind your words. So, yeah, I'm in full support of what you're saying right now, Percy.
Yes, there's so many different organizations out in Kalamazoo for us to get in, for us to be getting in trouble. There's many different programs, KCYC, Men of Purpose. There's many different programs, Open Roads. There's Urban Zone. There's Homework Help somewhere. There's many different resources in Kalamazoo for us to be silent. They're not there for no reason. Like, and a lot of youth doesn't know because they don't talk about kid network in the school, and that phases me because I believe Kid Network is one of the features of Kalamazoo.
Hey,
is resources. We are resources. We are a resource for youth to get what they need. You know, so
all facts.
Absolutely. I think that goes into again creating that unity piece, not only between adults and youth or the police and youth, but between different organizations doing the same work. If we're doing the same work, why can't we unify and come together for one huge thing? And that's not saying, come over here because we're KCYC, let's do this, I got this idea, I just want your help. No, that's not saying it, but we can unify, and your following and my following can come together and still push out the same end goal. And I think, just unification across the board. If we're all doing the same thing, we're here for the same thing. Why hasn't any change been made, or why hasn't why haven't it been done? Like,
and then to jump on your back once again, when you say unification, that means youth and adults together as well. I know a lot of us get caught up with, like, when you say unity, we mean by like races, like white, black, African, Asian, Indian, Hawaiian. But like under this category of unity, we are speaking on like adult and youth partnerships. Just to follow what I was saying with the advocacy piece, the youth can say it, but your advocate could be one of those adult workers that is working at those programs that Percy just listed, and just use that resource for your advocacy piece, so we can have unity, so we can create that change that we've been talking about. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
absolutely. That brings me, if I could do a little insert here, all these topics are great. Definitely want to go further into these and really, appreciate the time to use this platform. We have our youth leadership retreat happening on March 26th at Pretty Lake Camp. So shout out to them. They've always been, gracious to us.
Shout out Pretty Lake.
Woo. Transportation, food, and materials will be provided. Just for attending, you are automatically receiving $50 stipend.
Wait, you telling me if I just show up, I can get $50?
If you just show up, that's all you gotta do. Show up.
Show your face.
All you
Not
gotta do.
virtual. Hold on. Not Zoom. Not on the computer. But this is
Not
in
on the
person.
computer.
In person.
In
Yeah.
person.
Yes.
No
person.
Zoom. Zoom is kicked out of this party. This is a party without Zoom.
Without Zoom at Pretty Lake.
Preacher.
Everything included. All you have to do is show up. We know there's people out there with the voice who are a little afraid to take that step, but if you show up, you automatically receive the $50
Yes,
stipend.
you do.
Lunch is provided, breakfast provided,
And some food.
materials, some food too.
You get a 3-in-1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you get transportation. We got 3 different locations around Kalamazoo, where you'll be able to be picked up and dropped back off safely. We definitely encourage people to sign up, and even organizations or people that are doing the work around this who want to come and listen to the youth are more than welcome to come as well. We have a link on Eventbrite. So if you go on Eventbrite and then search Youth Leadership Retreat in Kalamazoo, it will pop up. You can, reserve as many tickets as you want. It is free on there again, but, we really want to push awareness around the 4 issues that they chose back in September. And I feel like it's been going strong, so definitely proud of them. But our 4 issues is mental health, policing, transportation, and in-school and community violence. So please, please, please sign up and, yeah.
So
That's
if
your
you
mind.
don't know mine, Alexis, how can all these issues? How can the retreat help address all these issues?
I think it is a start to address them. I don't think we're gonna, address everything and it's gonna be, bam, next day it's all taken care of. I think this is a start and a way to not only gain trust of the youth to say, okay, you're really letting me use this platform to my advantage. You're really letting me voice, and these are my words, my thoughts, my plan, my action. To even just have something like that with me, with my background coming from Chicago and coming here, we didn't have none of this. Everything was planned. Adult, youth show up. This is what I need you to do. It wasn't youth planned this. Youth came up with these ideas. What we're gonna do. Like, the only thing I think I had a hand in was reserving the transportation, Pretty Lake, and food. Everything else was all them. Even down to the snacks. They're like, oh, maybe we need this. Maybe we need some gum. I like coffee. I don't know. They're drinking coffee now. I didn't like coffee till like 2 years ago, and now I'm stuck. But hey, you want it? We got it.
Hey.
But I think that this is a great start to kind of reel in their attention from, everything else that's going on, and say, hey, although we've been through a pandemic, COVID, everything's still happening. This is still, we got something positive here for you to take full advantage of, and it's meant for you, by you. So hopefully out of this, we come up with some great action and we get more people, more awareness, more interaction with the community, more support from the community around these issues, as we're not the only, ones trying to implement a plan with this work. So if you know anybody who's doing the work, want to connect, please send them my way.
Please.
I hear is if you're looking for an opportunity to, if you're a youth and you're looking for an opportunity to get your voice heard, I hear that this is even a great resume builder to some of the young folks that are applying for college in the next couple of years, to be a part of advocacy in the youth development field. That will shine like bright on your college application. It can shine bright on a lot of different things. It can maybe introduce you to a career into politics, where you in the Senate or Congress advocating for youth rights, and that's what I hear, and that's the platform that I feel Kalamazoo Youth Development Network is trying to provide for youth. So yeah, just come on out if you're a youth, and we'll be there.
Woo! Woo! You can contact me at Alexis Alexis at kidnet.org, and that is KYDNET.org. Again, that is Alexis at kidnet.org.
And then don't we got some socials? Yeah, drop them socials.
So we got Facebook. Follow us at
Hey.
Kalamazoo Youth Development Network. Just wanted to give you guys Percy's email as well. It is PERCY at kidnet.org as well. So please reach out to us with any questions, anything we can help you with, if we can be a resource and you say, I'm not ready for, a crowd like that, but I still want to give my voice. It's still an opportunity. You don't have to be involved with programming or anything. Like, just come. Just come connect.
This is completely for you.
Completely for you.
All right, Alexis, I just want to thank you and Justin for coming in as your authentic selves. And I want to give a huge shout out to the Promise Building for making this happen. This is the first In Person with Percy podcast, and there will be many more to come. Please, if you have any questions, my email is percy@kydnet.org. Thank you for listening to In Person with Percy. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Woo. Peace out. We out.
Yeah. Hey.